Hello, good morning everyone. We are discussing the November 20 paper, SFM, Strategic Financial Management. We are discussing the November 20 paper. We already completed the first and second questions, and we are in the third question now. Look at the third question. This is relating to security valuation. Very good question, very good question. It gives very great insight about the drawbacks of the duration and how the drawbacks are overcome by convexity. How the convexity is a better measure than the duration. So the difference between duration and convexity, what are the drawbacks of the duration, how the convexity overcomes the drawbacks. You can get insight in this problem. Okay, let me read this problem. The following data are available for a bond. Face value rupees 10,000 to be redeemed at par on maturity. Coupon rate 8.5% per annum. Yields years to maturity 5 years. Yield to maturity 10%. You are required to calculate current market price of the bond, macular duration, volatility of the bond, convexity of the bond, expected market price if there is a decrease in the yield to maturity by 200 basis points by macular duration based estimate or intrinsic value method. Okay, right. There are many points, 5 points are there. First, we'll start with the current market price of the bond. Strictly speaking, it cannot be called as a current market price. It should be called as an intrinsic value. There is no question of calculating the market price. It's a fundamental mistake to call it as a calculation of market price. It is not a calculate. Nobody will calculate the market price. Market price is not something to be calculated. Market price is something to be ascertained. So if it is a stock, is listed, whether it is shares or bond, if a security is listed, market price is ascertained by looking at the stock market code. If any asset, whether shares, bonds or land, building, any asset, if it is not listed, market price is ascertained by survey. Market price is something which has to be ascertained, not something which has to be calculated. It is the value which can be calculated. But most of the times we are using intrinsic value and equated with the market price of the bond. Why? Because we are assuming that all investors are aware, all investors are fully aware about the information of a particular company. Accordingly, the price of a particular bond will be equal to the intrinsic value. That is our assumption, but in reality it will not happen. In reality, there is no guarantee, absolutely there is no certainty that all investors will have full information about the stock. This is purely our academic purpose. Our academic purpose, we are equating market price of the bond with the intrinsic value. What we are calculating is the intrinsic value, and what we are calling it as a market price. That should not be correct. That is not correct. That according to me, it should be appropriate to call it as a fair price rather than actual market price. Fair price of the stock. Fair price of a stock. Okay, better call it as a fair price of a stock. Look at this first point, 3A1. What is the current market price of the bond? It is not appropriate to call it as a current market price of the bond. So maybe you can call it as a fair price of the bond. Fair price of the bond. Yes, fair price, or you can call it as intrinsic value. Anything is fair, but not market price. Okay, current market price of the bond, or fair price, or intrinsic value. Okay, right. Now, what is the first point? They have given the information. Face value is 10,000. Take out the face value. Face value is 10,000. Face value is 10,000. Face value is 10,000. Next, coupon rate. What is the coupon rate they have given? 8.5% is the coupon rate they have given. Yield to maturity is 10%. These are the information they have given. First, we'll calculate cash flow number. Serial number of cash flow. We have to calculate a serial number of cash flow. So it may be quarterly or it may be yearly. So first cash flow, second cash flow, third cash flow, fourth cash flow, like that. It may be first quarter, or it may be second quarter, or it may be first half year, or it may be first year. Okay, serial number of cash flow. First cash flow, sir, whether it is after 1 month, it may be monthly cash flow, or it may be quarterly cash flow, or it may be half yearly or yearly. First cash flow I have received. Okay. First cash flow I have received, second cash flow I have received, third cash flow, fourth cash flow, fifth cash flow. Because 5 years are there, fifth cash flow. In the fifth year, I will receive second cash flow. What is the second cash flow in the fifth year? That is nothing but redemption price or maturity value. So therefore, I'll have 5 years. Say serial number of cash flow. Remember, this is the serial number of cash flow. Let me take this point. Serial number of cash flow. This is first point. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In the fifth year, we'll take one more cash flow, serial number of cash flow. Next, cash flow amount. Cash flow amount. What is the cash flow amount? First year coupon payment. Face value of the bond into coupon rate. Face value of the bond into coupon rate. I'll get this point. Face value of the bond into coupon rate 850. I'll get face value of the bond into coupon rate. I'll get 850. Next, in the fifth year, at the end of the fifth year, I'll get redemption price because it is given in the question. Even if it is not given in the question, normally we'll assume to be redeemed at par on maturity. Redeemed at par. Redeemed at par. If this information is not given in the question, my advice is write one note point. In the absence of information, redemption price is taken as a face value. Okay, right? Normally they will be given, but in the absence of the information, write one note point. It gives a better impression of the paper value. Okay. It gives a better impression of the paper value. If this information is not given, write it. If this information is not given, write it. Assume that the bond is redeemed at par. Okay, right. So in this problem, that assumption is not necessary because outrightly they have given the question. Next, discount factor. Discount factor. This also you don't need to break your head. That is given. Discount factor at the rate 10% yield. Discount factor at the rate 10% yield. To save your calculations timings, this also they have given in the question. 0.909. 0.909. Okay, 0.909. Next point is 0.826, 0.826, 0.751, 0.683. Next 0.621. This is also 0.621. This is also 0.621. 909, 826, 751, 683, 621. This is the discount factor. Next, present value of cash flow. 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 This cash flow amount into discount rate. This cash flow amount into discount rate. This is the present value of cash flow. Cash flow amount into discount rate. The present value of cash flow. So the total value is, this is the current market price of the bond, or you can call it as an intrinsic value of the bond. I should call it. I'll suggest you to call it as a intrinsic value of the bond. Intrinsic value of the bond or market price of the bond. Even though it is given in the question, but according to me, it's better to call it as an intrinsic value of the bond. Market price is something to be ascertained, not to be computed. What we are computing is an intrinsic value of the bond. Okay. Next. Therefore, this is the intrinsic value of the bond. Intrinsic value of the bond. Okay. This is our first answer. So I am putting in the green color. Our main answer is in green color. The rest are all background calculation, back-end calculations. Next, after calculating this current market price, next thing is this is current market price, intrinsic value. Intrinsic value of the bond or fair price of the bond or fair price of the bond. This is the correct terminology. Intrinsic value of the bond or fair price of the bond. This is given in the examination question, but according to me, it is not appropriate to call it. Next point is after calculating this present value. Next point is macular duration. Macular duration. Okay, this macular duration indicates the riskiness of the bond. If you read both together, macular duration and volatility of the bond together indicates riskiness of the bond. Together indicates riskiness of the bond. The greater the duration of the bond, the greater the duration of the bond, the more greater the uncertainty, greater the risk. If the bond's duration is more, that means today I am investing and I am going to recover after 2 years. After 2 years, less uncertainty. If I am going to recover after 20 years, more uncertainty, more risk. Greater the duration of the bond, greater the uncertainty, greater the risk. Greater the duration of the bond, greater the uncertainty, greater the risk. Okay, right. Next. So this is the duration. So study material has given one formula for calculating the duration. Let me decode that formula here. Okay. Look at this formula. This is what the formula has given in the ICA study material. Okay, so it looks to be somewhat clumsy, but it's very straight point. So you have to rearrange the formula. First, take out this portion. This portion indicates present value of each cash flow. This portion indicates present value of each cash flow. That is already there for us. Present value of each cash flow is already there for us. Yes. Next point. So that is done. Next, the present value of cash flow is to be multiplied with T. What is this? T stands for? T stands for time to maturity. That means how long it will take to recover that cash flow. For example, if I take this 772, time to maturity, not to the bond, to that cash flow. Time to maturity of the cash flow, not time to maturity of the bond. time to maturity of that cash flow. How long it will take to recover that cash flow? 1 year. That means serial number of cash flow. How long it will take to recover 630? 3 years. That means here time to maturity is nothing but time to maturity of the, not the time to maturity of the, but time to maturity of that particular cash flow. How many years or how long it will take to recover that particular cash flow? How long it will take to recover that particular cash flow? So simply speaking, it is nothing but time weighted cash flow. Time weighted cash flow. Time weighted present value. Time weighted present value. Time weighted present value. Okay, time weighted present value. So time weighted present value, this present value into serial number of the cash flow. Okay, this present value into serial number of the cash flow. Same thing, we'll copy the same thing. Okay, that will be done. Next thing, what we have to do is that we have to do next year, we have to take this out point, take out this point, take out this point. So here also, take out this. M refers to what? Maturity or par value. Okay. Into N, number of cash flows. Into N, number of cash flows is 5 cash flows. Number of cash flows is 5 cash flows. So therefore, it is simply nothing but it also the same thing, multiplication. It also the time weight. Because this is my present value. So this is M, this is M, this is M, this is M. So when I discount this with M discounted value 1 by 1 plus I into whole to the power of t 5 years, I'll get this present value of maturity price. Present value of maturity price. To that I have to multiply with N is the number of cash flows. Simply speaking, every present value of cash flow is time weight. As simple as that. Nothing more than that. No need to break your head by looking at this formula. So first this portion says present value of the maturity price. Present value of the maturity price. So the numerator says present value of the maturity price. Therefore, I have to take out this present value of the maturity price. So this is M and this is 1 plus I whole to the power of t, and this will be M in M divided by 1 plus I whole to the power of t. This will be M into 1 divided by, so this will be what? 6,202. How much it is? This will be M into, this will be M into 1 divided by 1 plus I whole to the power of t. M into 1 plus I whole to the power of t. This is 1 plus I whole to the power of t. 1 divided by whole to the power of t. That 0.621 is what? That 0.621 is 1 divided by 1 plus I whole to the power of t. So I'm multiplying both. It will come to M divided by 1 plus I whole to the power of t. For that I have to multiply with N. How many number of cash flows? 5 cash flows. How many number of cash flows? 5 cash flows. Therefore, I have to multiply with them. 5. Therefore, in total, it is also time weighted. So you no need to break your head for this formula. It's very plain, simple. Every cash flow time weighted. That's it. Every present value of cash flows. We have to calculate the present value of each cash flow. We have to calculate the present value of each cash flow, and we have to multiply with the time. That's it. Every present time weighted present value of each cash flow. Time weighted present value of each cash flow. Time weighted present value of each cash flow. What we have to calculate? Time weighted present value of each cash flow. That is what we are calculating. Now, here also we should be, here also if you focus, what we are doing is that first we are summing up this point. First we are summing up. For that again we are adding it. Again we are adding it. That means in simply speaking, we are adding every time weighted present value. First we are adding the coupons, then we are adding the maturity value. In total, we are all doing addition only. That's it. So first we are adding up all the present value of cash flows. Next we are adding up the maturity of present value. As simple as that. So therefore, in total, this is nothing but this column. This is nothing but this column. First I have to total it here. First I have to total it here till if you go by the formula. First I have to total it here till here. Till here I have to total it. Till here I have to total it. Present value of each cash flow. Till here I have to total it. So if you look at the formula, this is what we have to do. Till here we have to total it. Till here we have to total it. 905. And then what we have to add for that? This is the summation. This is the summation. And then for that we have to add this. For that we have to add this. Simply speaking, we are adding this column and that's it. Simply speaking, we are adding this column. Nothing more than that. Okay. So therefore, you don't need to break your head with the formula. Just total up all these things. Okay. This is what the point. This comes with the numerator. This numerator is done. Next, for that we have to, for that what we do, we should divide by with the present value. We should divide by with the bond price or present current market price of the bond. So therefore, it will be divided by this 9401. This is nothing but duration of the bond, maculate duration. This is nothing but maculate duration. Maculate duration. This is nothing but maculate duration. As simple as that. That 4.2521 is the maculate duration. This is the macular duration. This is also our answer, one of the answer. Let me put it in the green color. Okay, this is also one of the answer, 4.25 to 1. Okay, or you can take 4.25. That's it, nothing more than that. So this formula appears to be clumsy, but simply what I am doing is that every present value of cash flow, every present value of cash flow, I am multiplying with the time. I'm multiplying with the time. Okay. Thereafter, I'm summing up the entire present values and divided by this present, divided by this market price. It will be 4.25. Okay. This will be the macular duration. Next, convexity. This is the second point. This is the second point. Macular duration is the second point. And the third point is volatility of the bond. Volatility of the bond. So this is also based on macular duration. Sir, how the duration is related to the volatility? As I told you, the longer the duration of the bond, there are more chances of fluctuating. So there is less chance of fluctuating the bond in 1 day or 2 days. There is more chance of fluctuating the bond in 10 years. Therefore, longer the duration of the bond, there is more chances of fluctuating. There is more chance of fluctuating, greater uncertainty, greater the risk. Longer the duration of the bond, greater the volatility, greater the uncertainty, greater the risk. Longer the duration of the bond, greater the volatility, greater the uncertainty, and greater the risk. So therefore, duration is linked to the volatility. As the duration is more, there is more chances, there is more scope for fluctuating. As the duration is more, there is more scope for fluctuating. Okay, as simple as that. As the duration is more, there is more scope for fluctuating. As simple as that. If a parent leaves one student with his friends for 1 day, there is less chance of learning bad habits. What if the parent leaves the student for 100 days? Or 1 year or 3 years, there is more chances, more volatility in the behavior. It is not that always will learn the bad behavior, but there is some volatility will happen. The longer the duration you stay, with the market volatility, you will also face the volatility. As simple as that. So therefore, longer our investment is exposed to market risk, greater the volatility will face. We should not expose ourselves to the market for a greater period of time. Market is highly uncertain, highly volatile. We should not expose ourselves to the market for a long period of time. We should not spend more time with bad people. We should not spend more time with bad people or uncertain people. The more the time we spend with uncertain people, the more the uncertain we will become. As simple as. Okay, it's not advisable to spend more time with the uncertain people. Okay, similarly, it is not advisable to expose our investment to the market volatilities for a long period of time. As soon as possible, we have to come back. It is not advisable to spend more time with the bad people. As simple as that, we have to come back. Therefore, the more the time you are spending, the greater the volatility, the greater the possibility that you may change. The more the time you spend with other people, the more the possibility that you will change. So therefore, the same concept is applying here. The more the time you spend with more uncertain people, the more you will become uncertain. Okay, right. Therefore, the more my investment is exposed to the market fluctuations, market volatilities for a longer period, the more the chances that my bond also faces volatility. So therefore, greater the volatility of the bond, greater the duration of the bond, greater the volatility, accordingly greater risk. So therefore, what is the modified duration or volatility? Volatility also called as modified duration. Volatility are also called as modified duration is equal to macular duration divided by yield. Macular duration divided by 1 plus YTM divided by 1 plus yield to maturity. So therefore, macular duration is 4.25 divided by 1 plus yield to maturity. Yield is 10%. Therefore, 1 by 1.10. We will get 3.86 is the volatility. 3.86 is our volatility. As simple as that. The greater we expose ourselves to the market behavior, the greater the chances that will become uncertain or volatile. Okay, right. Next. So 3.87 volatile behavior. Next, the fourth point is convexity. Convexity of the bond. Convexity of the bond is also, there is a formula there, but you can convert that formula. That above table is very much sufficient to calculate the convexity of the bond. The formula for convexity of the bond is there is a formula for calculating the convexity of the bond. After calculating the formula, in the next fifth point, I'll show you what is the drawback of the duration, how the convexity is better than the duration. That I'll show you later. First, let me calculate the convexity of the bond. There is a formula that is summation of XW 1 plus X divided by V0 divided by V0. This is the formula. This is the formula. If you look at, I am multiplying 3 products. I am multiplying 3 products. 1, 2, and 3. I am multiplying 3 products. What are those 3 products? I am multiplying 3 products. 1, 2, and 3. What are the 3 products? First is X. This is serial number of cash flow. This is serial number of cash flow. And this is present value of cash flow. Present value of cash flow. Present value of cash flow. If you look at this point, these 2 is nothing but my this time weighted present value. Already I have done it. Already I have done it. And numerator, denominator is also already I have this present. I have this fair value, numerator, denominator. So therefore, most of the information related to the convexity will be there in this table itself. Okay. So therefore, serial number of the cash flow is there and present value of the cash flow is also there. Next, what I need to do is 1 plus X. Not what I did is 1 plus X. So therefore, I'll put it as a 1 plus X. 1 plus X. So the 1 plus X. 1 plus X. What is X? The serial number of cash flow. The serial number of cash flow will be X. The serial number of cash flow will be X. The serial number of cash flow will be X. Therefore, it will be 1 plus, I think 1 plus that. I have to take 1 plus that X. This is what the point. So you have to put the column numbers here. You have to put the column headings. A, it's B, column heading B. This column heading C, column heading D, till present value, and column heading E, time weighted present value. Next F. Next F. Next F. So therefore, time weighted proportion. So this will be calculated till here, till last. Okay. So thereafter, what we do? Already we have X into W. Already we have X into W. Present value of cash flow is nothing but W. Present value of cash flow is nothing but W. So therefore, what we are doing? X into W into 1 plus X. X into W into 1 plus X. This is what we are doing. X into W into 1 plus X. X into W already is there. This is X into W. This is X into W. E is equal to what? E is equal to X into W. E is equal to X into W. Already we have done it. Already we have done X into W, we have done it. So now our duty is to multiply this X into W with 1 plus X. So this will be 1543. Next. This is the point. We'll do it as simple as that. We'll do the summation. This is the summation. Numerator value we got it. 2,27,164 is the numerator value. This is the numerator value. 2,27,164 is the numerator value. Divided by the present price. Divided by the price of the value. This divided by this point. So this will be the convexity of the bond. This will be the convexity of the bond. So most of the information relating to calculation of convexity will be. Most of the information relating to convexity calculation will be there in this present value calculations of the bond. In this bond itself, will have most of the value. Okay, right. This is what the point. Right. Next, this is the convexity. We have completed the 4 points. Present value. Present value is completed. Macular duration is also completed. Volatility is completed, and convexity is also completed. Now look at this point. Modified duration. Macular duration based estimate. Expected market price if there is a decrease in the yield to maturity by 200 basis points. If there is a decrease in the yield to maturity, the market price will increase. If there is a decrease in the yield to maturity, the market price will increase. Okay, ma? So expected market price. Expected market price. Expected market price. If the yield to maturity decreases by 200 basis points. Decreases by 200 basis points. 200 basis points are also known as 2%. 200 basis points are also known as 2%. Expected market price if the yield to maturity decreases by 200 basis points or 2%. Right. So now, what is the inverse relationship between yield and price? So when the yield decreases, price increases. When the yield decreases, price increases. Okay, ma? As simple as that. When the yield decreases, price increases. There are many explanations for this. Why the yield when the yield decreases, why the price increases. Mathematically, people will say that if I change this discount rate, if I reduce this discount rate from 10% to 2%, this will increase. Accordingly, yield decreases, price increases. That is mathematical way of explanation. No, that is not how we have to understand the subject. We are not a computers to understand the subject mathematically. Okay, so most of the people are understanding this in a mathematical way. If I decrease this yield, my discount factor will increase. Accordingly, my market value will increase. My intrinsic value will increase. That is a mathematical way of understanding. No, that is not how the subject has to be understood. Here the point is that when the yield decreases means not on our bond. General market rates are decreasing. So since the general market rates are decreasing, our bond appears to be more attractive. Since the general market rates are decreasing, our bonds appears to be more attractive. There will be more demand for my bond. There will be more demand for my bond. So if I got 50 marks, or if I got 18 marks, rest of the students got only 50 marks. So my demand will be increased not because I got more marks, but because other people got less marks. If I got 55 marks and all other people got only 50 marks, there is a chance that I'll become a class topper. If I got just only 50 out of 100, I got only 50 out of 100, but I became a class topper. Why? Not because I scored good, because other fellows scored good. Because the other bonds are paying less rate of interest, my bond appears to be more attractive. Accordingly, the demand for my bond increases. Accordingly, the price will increase. That is what the conceptual way of learning, not mathematically. Okay, if the rate of interest on the other bonds decreases, my bond appears to be more attractive. Accordingly, more demand for my bond, the price will increase. Okay, so therefore, if I got only 50, all the other students, the rest of the students are getting 40 marks. Obviously, I'll become a class topper. Not because I am intelligent, because other students are there. As simple as that. Not because of my company's performance is improved. Only because the other interest rates are decreasing. Okay, ma? So why the prices of the bond increases? Because of decrease in the yield. Because of decrease in the return on other bonds, my bond appears to be more attractive. More attractive bond, more demand, more buying, prices will increase. Basic economic concept: demand is more, prices will increase. This will observe even in our basic day-to-day life of vegetables and fruits. In case of festival occasions, when the demand is there, price also will increase. When the demand is there, price also will increase. Basic economics. Whenever there is a demand, prices will increase. So here the demand for my bond is, my price of my bond is increasing. Reason: demand for my bond is increasing. Why demand for my bond is increasing? Because the other bonds are paying less rate of return than my bond. Because yields has been decreased. Other bonds are paying lesser yield than my bond. That is the way you have to understand this. Okay, right. So therefore, expected market price of the yield to maturity decreases by 200 basis points. As per first what more we have to calculate as per the Macaulay duration based estimate. Macaulay duration based estimate. That is nothing but minus 1 into this Macaulay duration. Minus 1 into this modified duration. So that will be minus 1. Why minus 1? Inverse relationship. If the yield decreases, my price will increase. If the yield decreases, my price will increase. Minus 2%. I have to take minus 2%. Yield is decreasing. My market price behavior will be opposite. Price will increase. Therefore, minus 2 into what is this volatility? So minus 1 into this 3.87%. So modified duration minus 1 into 3.87% into 2. So 3.87% into minus 1 into 2 percentage change in the yield. So therefore is equal to minus 1 into my yield of 3, my volatility of 3.87 into 2 basis points. This will be 7 point. Yield is decreased by 2%. Therefore, 7.73% increase in bond price. Okay, so 7.73% increase in bond price. 7.73% increase in bond price. Or I'll take this 0.02. Then in the middle, I'll get the percentage. Okay, I'll get the percentage. 7.73 percentage increase in the bond. Percentage increase in the bond. Percentage increase in the price of the bond. Percentage increase in the bond price. Price of a bond. Okay. So therefore, value is increasing is equal to 9,431 is my present value. 9,431 is my present value into 1 plus this 0.1.0773 mark. 1.0773. 1 plus. So therefore, this will be 10,160. So this is the market price. Market price of the bond. Expected market price of the bond. expected market price of the bond, expected market price of the bond, expected market price of the bond, if the yield to maturity decreases by 200 basis points. Decreases by 200 basis points. Decreases by 200 basis points. This is the expected market price. This is also one of our answer. 353. This is 3A. Our answer. This is 3A5. This is 3A5A. 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 Okay. This is our answer. This is our answer. Okay. Expected market price of the bond if the yield to maturity decreases by 200 basis points. Right. As per the macular duration estimate. Now, as per the present value estimate, simply we have to copy this table. Nothing more than that. As per the present value estimate, we have to simply copy this table. Copy this table simply. Present value estimate. Simply will copy this table, and the discount factor will change it. Same table, because coupon will not change. Coupon is not changing. Discount factor, I have to treat it as an 8% because decreased by 200 basis points. That means 2%. Yield. What is the yield they have given? 0.926 is the discount factor. 0.857 and 0.794. 0.735, 0.681, 0.681. Present value of cash flow. Simply we are multiplying. 1,204. Look at this point. The actual market price will change by 10,204. But duration is predicting that only 10,160. Okay. This is the drawback of the duration. So the market price will change by will increase to 10,204, whereas duration is assuming that market price will increase only to 10,160. Why? Because mathematically it is correct. Duration, but actual market behavior is different. Actual market behavior will be different. Why is our actual market behavior? Let me explain. The drawback of the duration. What the duration assumes and what the reality. Okay. Right. It is based on human psychology. It's based on investment psychology. Duration assumption, duration and reality. So the duration assumes that bond price changes equally for increase in yields, and for decrease in yields, This is what the point. Changes equally for increase in yields and for decrease in yields. That is the duration assumption. Duration assumption is symmetric relationship. Both the sides same behavior. When the yields are decreasing, market price are rising, same percentage. When the yields are rising, market price are falling, same percentage. So bond price changes equally for increase in yields and for a decrease in yields. In reality speaking, when the interest rates change in the bond price, okay, or rise in the bond price, increase in the bond price for decrease in yield to maturity is more than the decrease in bond price for increase in yield to maturity. This is what the point. Okay, increase in the bond price for decrease in the yield to maturity is more than the decrease in bond is more than the decrease in bond is more than the decrease in bond price. Okay, you can take out this point. Increase in the bond price is more than the decrease in bond. Increase in the bond price for decrease in yield to maturity is more than the decrease in bond for increase in yield to maturity. The reason is very simple. Because greediness outweighs the fear. This is the thumb rule, not only in the investment market, in every aspect of human life. The thumb rule is that greediness outcomes the fear. Just you observe it. You observe it anywhere, in every aspect of life, in every aspect of human life, you can observe this point. After all, investment is also one of the activities of human beings. So therefore, every aspect of human beings, Greediness outweighs fear. Greediness outweighs fear. Greediness outweighs fear. Okay, greediness outweighs fear. There are 101 examples to prove that greediness outweighs fear to the human tendency. So if you build lot of buildings, okay, so we are spoiling the environment. Our greediness is there, and at the same time we are having a fear also that environment will be damaged. But still we go on building the apartments, constructions, etc. Because our greediness is more than the fear. Right? That is the first point. Second point, if you observe a cricket match, when the celebrations, when the India wins the match, the celebrations is more. When the India loses the match, the sadness is less comparatively less. People will go on carrying on their day-to-day activities. When India wins the match, the celebrations are more. When India loses the match, the sadness is less because the fear is less, because the reaction to the good news is more than the reaction to the bad news. The reaction to the good news is more than the reaction to the bad news. That is what the point, logically speaking. Anyway, greediness outweighs the fear. The point here, if you correlate, that is applicable to every aspect of human life. So here, investment behavior, how I can correlate it? Very simple. If I give a good news about the stock, people will rush to purchase the share. If I give a good news about the stock, people will rush to purchase the share. If the people has already purchased the share, and if I give a bad news about the stock and I am asking you to sell the stock, they will not sell. Most of the people will not sell because the basic human tendency is reluctance to accept our mistakes. Reluctance to accept the mistakes. Reluctance to accept our mistakes. This is the basic human tendency. Reluctance to accept our mistakes. If you purchase the stock and I am suggesting that the stock is a wrong stock, I am giving some negative information about the company, but still you are not selling the stock because you are not willing to accept that you have done a mistake by selling the wrong stock. That is the basic human tendency, and the people will try to justify that. And people will try to justify that when the stock prices are falling or bond prices are falling, many of the people continues to hold that stock, thinking that the price will increase, And when you ask the people why you are holding the stock price is falling, they said that I kept the stock for long term. They will give some noble name or golden name called as long term investment. I'm very mature person, I'm very wisdom person, I'll make the investment long term. But in reality, they don't know the definition of long term. What is your definition of long term? Is it 5 years, or is it 10 years, or is it 20 years? They don't know. On what basis you thought that the stock price will increase in future? No, nothing. Simply they have purchased the stock and they believe that the stock price will increase. That means the reluctance to sell is more. People are very reluctant to sell. They will not sell. Less sale of the bonds, less supply of the bonds, less fall in the price. If there is a more sale of the bonds, more supply will come, more fall in the prices. But there is a less sale of bonds, less supply of bonds in the market. Accordingly, less fall. So this is the basic human tendency. People are not willing to sell the bad stocks because they want to justify their own decision. They don't want to accept their mistake. That is the reason decrease in bond prices is less. On the other hand, greediness is more. Increase in bond price is more. Therefore, if you observe it, duration assumes that the bond price will increase to 10,160, but actually present value is 10,204. More increasing because more greediness. Therefore, people will rush to purchase the stock, and when the bad news is given, they will be reluctant to sell the stock. That is the basic human tendency. So we have very good experience. I'm into investment banking right from the 2013. When I entered my CFA career 2013, I'm into investment advice from 2013. It's almost 7 years. I have seen many of my clients. Always this is the problem. When I'm advising you that there is a bad stock, just sell it. They are not willing to sell it. They will simply say that, sorry, you are only holding it. You purchased at 300. The stock price has already fallen to 200. Better to sell it. They said that no, sir, the stock price will increase. So the fundamental mistake is that assuming that every stock which has fallen in price will increase. That is the wrong assumption. Every stock which has fallen in price will increase. That is the wrong assumption. Everyone who does a crime will become a saint is the biggest mistake. Everyone who does a crime will become a saint. It's the biggest mistake. Therefore, every fall in the stock price will increase. That's the biggest mistake. So therefore, you have to see. I have one peculiar case. It was in 2014. We have one listed company. I have seen. Many of the investors have purchased the stock of that listed company at about 40 rupees, and the stock price has fallen to 5 rupees. They have purchased at 40 rupees and the stock price has fallen to 5 rupees. I am suggesting that you better sell it at 5 rupees. At least you can save 5 rupees. They thought that no, sir, it is 40 rupees, it has fallen to 5 rupees. Definitely it will improve. On what basis? Nobody knows. I know fundamentally that I know fundamentally the prospects of the company. Based on that, I gave a suggestion that no boss, you better sell it. The company will not survive. The company will wind up. They will not. They have not listened to our advice, and they kept the stock like that only, thinking that long term. Ultimately, did you believe it or not? They sold at 30 paise. 5 rupees. When I asked them to sell at 5 rupees, they are reluctant to sell, and they sold at ultimately at 30 paise. Why? Because 40 rupees stock has fallen to 5 rupees. Therefore, there is a chances of increasing to again 40. He has done a lot of crime. Therefore, there is a chance that he will realize himself and become a saint. That is a foolishness. A person who has done a crime, there is no assumption that he will become a saint. He will realize his mistake. That will not happen always. That will not happen always. Therefore, every stock which is falling drastically, you should not blindly assume that it will go back. It will go back. That is the drawback. So therefore, people will not sell it. And that is the reason the prices will not fall. The prices will not fall. The prices will rise but not fall. As simple as it. Okay. So greediness outweighs the fear. Every aspect of human being, every aspect of human life, this is the fundamental thing. Here also, when I give a good news, more people will rush to purchase the stock. When I give a bad news, the people who have already purchased the stock, less people will sell. More people will try to hold, thinking that it's a long term. And ask them many people, what is your long-term definition? They have a clear-cut definition of 3 years, 5 years, or 8 years? No. On what basis you thought that within 5 years company price will increase? Does the company have any expansion plans? Does the company is planning for any diversification? Does the company is planning for any management restriction? What information you have to come to the conclusion that the fallen stock will increase again? No. The answer is no. That is the reason. That is the reason. This is the investor psychology. This is the investor psychology. Duration is purely mathematical based. It ignores the market behavior. It ignores the market behavior. On the other hand, convexity takes into account the market behavior. Convexity says that increase in bond is more than the decrease in price. Okay. Convexity says increase in the price of bond is more than the decrease in the price of bond. Reality and convexity assumption. Convexity assumption. This is the convex assumption. Convexity also assumes the same thing. Okay, ma? Right. So therefore, investor behavior. So accordingly, my advice is that when we are investing in the stock market, it's more important to watch how we are behaving rather than how the market is behaving. So we have to watch our behavior, our thought process, our emotions. Are you becoming irrational? Are you rational? Are you emotionally balanced? So how we behave is more important than how the market behaves. In stock markets, how we behave is more important than how the markets behave. So therefore, investor psychology is completely ignored by the duration. Convexity takes into account. Therefore, convexity properly closely measures the expected price of the bond. Now look at this, the same point, the same problem, duration, the difference between the actual price and the duration is this point. The difference between the prediction made by duration model and the present value model is 43 rupees prediction. Or if you take into the percentage, actual increase in the percentage of the price of the bond. Actual increase in the percentage of price of the bond. This is 10,204 minus 9,431 divided by 9,431. This is 8%. This is the actual increase. This is the actual increase. Based on the present value method, 8.19%. And this is 7.73%. Don't think that is a small percentage. You have to see the error. You have to see the error. How much is the error? 8.19%, 7.73% divided by 7.73%. The percentage, the tracking error is the tracking error is 6%. That means it increases 6% more than what we have predicted. Okay, right. That's all. This is the point. So that this is the difference between the actual present value method of calculation and the duration method of calculation. Difference in the expected market price. Difference in the expected market price. This is the difference in the expected market price. Present value method versus present value method. Present value method versus present value method versus a duration based estimate. Duration based estimate. Present value method versus duration based estimate. Now on the other hand, convexity. There is a formula here for convexity to calculate the convexity. Percentage change in price of the bond. Percentage change in price of the bond. As per convexity estimate. As per convexity estimate is equal to minus 1 into modified duration minus 1 into modified duration into percentage change in the bond plus convexity divided by 200. Convexity divided by 200 into into percentage change in the bond whole square. Percentage change in the bond whole square. This is what the formula for 2 plus gives you. Minus 1 into modified duration into percentage change in the yield. Minus 1. So therefore convexity is equal to minus 1 into modified duration into percentage change in the yield into change in yield plus convexity divided by 200 into change in yield whole square. Change in yield whole square. Okay, ma? Change in yield whole square. This is not 2, ma, this is square. Whole square. Change in yield whole square. This is the formula as per the convexity estimate. Now based on that we'll calculate how much price. Okay. Next. So if you look at this point, what is minus 1? Minus 1 will take it. And what is the duration? What is the modified duration? 3.87. And percentage change in the bond 2%. 2% change in the bond. Minus 2. It will be minus 2 because decrease, right? It will be minus 2. Therefore, I have to take it as decrease. Minus 2. Okay? Minus 2. Plus, this is the plus. So therefore, thereafter plus to do what? Plus. So this C, convexity is how much? Convexity, I have to calculate the convexity. Where is the convexity? Convexity, I think somewhere we got above convexity. 24.09 divided by 200 into minus 2 whole square. Minus 2 whole square. This is what the point. Into minus 2 whole square. Okay? Minus 2 whole square minus 1. This is just what, look at this point, minus 1 into modified duration into percentage change in the yield. That is one thing. And next convexity divided by 200 into percentage change in the whole square. This is a percentage change in yield whole square. So therefore, I'll get 8.21%. So if I calculate this present value 8.21%. Okay, this is 90 into 1.0821. 1.0821. So the convexity measure is 10,205. 10,205. Look at this. This is the convexity estimate. But if you think of the present value difference, so hardly anything. Look at this error. How much is the error? Hardly 1. 1.78. Hardly 1.78 is the difference. Look at this 43 difference and look at this 1 rupee difference for each bond. Duration estimate is wrong by 43 rupees. Duration is estimating 43 rupees less. Duration is estimating 43 rupees less. Convexity is estimating 1 rupee more or approximately 2 rupees. Look at the difference. How close the convexity is the present value estimation and how far the duration is the present value estimation. Therefore, convexity is the better method of predicting the market price than the duration method. So that's why I told you this is a very good problem to understand the drawbacks of the duration and how the drawbacks will be cured by the convexity. Why the convexity is a better measure than the duration. Okay, ma? Just observe it. The market price is 10,204, right? And the duration predicts is at 10,160, whereas convexity predicts is at 10,205. Very close, 10,204 to 10,205, hardly 1 rupee difference. Whereas here 43 rupees difference. It's not very comparable. How far the duration is away from the actual price and how close the convexity is near to the market price. Okay, so therefore convexity is a better measure of estimate than the duration. So the next problem we'll see in the next video.